The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondell.
Welcome to the Stage Door Show, everyone. This is Dave Hondell. I'm excited and honored to have tonight's guest. You've seen him on several shows, including Whose Line Is It Anyway?, The Wayne Brady Show, Let's Make a Deal, and hundreds more, and we could not be more thrilled that he's added the Stage Door Show to that list. So let's welcome Jonathan Mangum to the show. Appreciate you being with us, Jonathan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I know you grew up in Mobile, Alabama.
That's right.
So, and I know before moving to Orlando, I like to ask this question of a lot of our artists because, obviously the passion for the arts started at some point growing up. So did that start with you growing up in Alabama, or was it more of like a college thing when you came to Orlando?
It actually was more of an Orlando thing. I finished high school in Alabama and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so I was like, I guess I'll be an engineer. I like, electronics are kind of cool. So I went to LSU for a year, did terribly just because I'd gone from, AP honors high school classes to LSU, which no offense to LSU, but it was like all the classes were 250 people and it was all multiple choice. You didn't even have to, you just read the book and go in and get a B. So I would just drink every night. And it was daiquiris for some horrible reason. Daiquiris were all the rage in the early 90s. Anyway, went and did the college program at Disney World, in which they invite people at colleges to come work and then take classes at Disney during the summer. And I was like, oh, this is cool and this is fun and Disney is exciting. And it's, the theme parks were, I used to grow up going to them and it was like, oh, wow. So I called my mom and I go, I'm staying in Orlando. I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but I'm going to stay here. And that was kind of it. Got me away from a horrible career choice of electronic engineering.
Well, I know that obviously a lot of people know you from your improv work on TV, but I know it kind of started somewhere. Also, SAC Comedy Lab. There's a little connection there. My kids both took classes there for a couple of years, but I've attended a lot of the shows there and just absolutely loved it. So, how did you get involved with SAC Comedy Lab? And I believe is that where you met Wayne Brady?
It is where I met Wayne. Just before SAC, I started doing another improv show in town called Comedy Sports, which is a nationwide improv comedy set of rules and teams and stuff. And it's a great place to start. And I was doing that for a while. We were small. And then SAC Theater was doing a show called Theater Sports, which is basically comedy sports without the costumes. But they were doing that. And they sent some of the people over to watch the comedy sports to see if they could poach any talent. Yeah, it's dirty in the world of improv. I heard. And they poached me indeed. They pulled me from Comedy Sports over to SAC Theater. And at the time, we were in downtown Orlando on Church Street, and it was a 200-seat theater, and we were doing 13 shows a week. We were selling out, 150 seats 3 times on Friday, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. It was really great. It was, and it was back when improv was still so fresh that a lot of people hadn't heard of it. So it was still kind of like a magic trick that no one had heard of before. So it was fun times, I should say.
And I guess as an actor, we have a lot of actor listeners, and talking about improv, we talked about this on one of my last shows. Somebody that went to Groundlings and Second City and so forth. And when you're in the improv world, I guess getting started in that improv world, does that give you kind of a head start to really get into other acting, like TV acting, film acting, where you have to really think on your feet quickly?
I think I want to say yes, but then also I don't want to say no. I just want to say there's advantages and disadvantages of it. Being able to think on your feet really quickly has certainly helped me. And it certainly helped me in auditions. Sometimes if you have 3 people that are, all really great in audition, what's going to put it over the top? It's like, oh, this guy, he made up that funny thing at the end that wasn't expected. And so that kind of thing has gotten me all kinds of jobs. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage is that, it gives you this feeling of you are in charge of the writing and the acting and the directing. And you're not, right? When you're an actor, it's like, you can't just go in there and wing it like you would on stage. So when you're used to making everything up and then you have to learn a crap ton of lines and deliver them right and do what a director says, not what you want to do, which is what improv is. Yeah. That's a different thing. And it can make you lazy isn't the right word, but you have to play a little bit of catch up, I think. So that's the disadvantage. I do think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, though.
No, when you're on stage doing improv in front of an audience without the cameras rolling, I guess, does it allow you more freedom, I guess, to kind of bend the rules a little bit or
Oh
push
yeah.
the envelope? And when the TV cameras are on, I suppose you really have to inside your head go, okay, well, I want to do this, but I can't, so I have to kind of tone it down a little bit. Do you have a lot of that happens?
There is some of that. I mean, some of it happens, you know, it happens naturally in a way. I'm not thinking, I can't drop an F-bomb because I'm doing a TV show. I don't literally think that. I just kind of switch into a gear that does that. But it's more about the difference between, when you're acting, you're playing a part and you're playing a character, and you have to do it the way it's supposed to be, and the director has his idea of it, and the writer has his idea of it, and there's a network there, and they are expecting a thing, and you really can't improvise that, right?
Sure.
Maybe you'll throw in a funny line that wasn't scripted if they trust you, or you'll say something, you add a little button at the end of something, but for the most part, you're acting, you're not improvising, you're doing what they tell you to do, so you're not making it up. Right. And so that's different. It's a different thing.
One of the other things we talk about a lot, and I think is very important, that the fact that you work with a lot of the same people on multiple projects, with Drew Carey and Wade Brady and some of the other fabulous actors and comedians that you work with. So there's a lot to be said about that, working as a team and being easy to work with together. And so maybe talk about that a little bit, because I know going from one project to another, I know there's maybe differences in the way you shoot things, but does it help to work with the same people time and time again, because you understand that person, and it's almost like being a teammate. You kind of know when they're going to do a certain thing, or you can anticipate things a little bit.
Yes, having a team and people that you can trust and what to expect is important. But I'm gonna take your question and wrap it into another question that you may have planned for later, but I think it ties in so well, I'm gonna bring it up now, which is, people say, what do I have to do to be an actor? I mean, can I do it from, Paducah, Kentucky, where I live? Can I be on TV and stuff? And my answer is always no. You have to move to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I still stand by that. And the reason is because of the network of people that you're going to meet. And when you meet these people, and you become friends with them, and you do favors for them, and you help them out, and you're good at your job, they're going to want to hire you again. It's like, they don't have auditions and then bring in the best actor. They have auditions, but then end up using their friends because they'd rather hang out with the guy that they had drinks with that worked on a project 2-3 years ago. So it's 100% about the network of people that you surround yourself with. And if they're successful and you are successful, then you all help each other by pulling you up the ladder. But you can't do that from anywhere else. You can't do it. I mean, there are people that there's always an example. Well, I have a friend that lives in Atlanta and he's making a good living. I'm like, okay, sure. There's always I'm not telling you it's impossible, but I'm saying if you want to increase your odds, if you go to Vegas and you're going to gamble and you say, which should I play? Blackjack, which is close to 50-50, or the slot machine that's like 80-20. You're going to tell you where the odds are. And so that's why I always say you got to move to where it's happening. And right now it's still Los Angeles, California. Well,
I was going to actually ask you about that because, we've also had a lot of actors on that do a lot of work in Atlanta with all the stuff going on there. And, it used to be Wilmington, North Carolina. I mean, New Orleans.
It was Orlando for a little bit in the 90s where Nickelodeon was there. And I did a lot of Nickelodeon shows.
But then, like you said, I mean, it's always been a mainstay in Los Angeles. There's always work in Los Angeles, or maybe New York, I guess it would be another if you're in the theater, right?
A theater, different theaters, a different deal. Sure. Yes. If you want to do theater, you go to New York. Yeah. You don't do theater here. There's too much to do. No one's going to come see your show. It's crazy here in LA. There's probably 500 small theaters. And they're all doing their best, and a lot of them are doing great work. And there's maybe 15-20 people in every audience, just because there's just too much stuff to do here.
It's overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you also have, as far as the auditions go, because I know with COVID, kind of, I'm going to say it's not going away. People are still getting COVID, but are the auditions still self-tape, or are they more in person now?
It's still mostly self-tape. But they do ask you where you are, because they want to make sure you're in LA. Because they're not going to fly your ass from Paducah, Kentucky. Why do I have a thing against Paducah, Kentucky?
I've been there a couple of times, actually.
It's just a random city. I don't know why,
but I've been there, yeah.
Well, I have to say a random city. It's Paducah. So yeah, it is mostly, it has been through the pandemic on tape. I feel like commercials are a little bit switching back into in person. I've done a handful of those. I think in person it's nice to not have to drive, because in LA, no matter where you're going, it's going to take an hour to get there, an hour to get back, right? Even if it's 5 miles away, something's going to happen. So it's nice to not be able to do that. But there's a disadvantage to being on tape, and that is the following. So in the olden days, in the early 2000s, there'd be a part, say it's a guest star for a sitcom, and the casting director would go, okay, I'm going to bring in 30 people I know that can do it. I'm going to see them, and then we're going to pre-read maybe another 50 people and find 10 of those. We're going to bring in total 40 people to the producers, and the top 3 will get pinned, and then we'll pick one. Like that. That's the kind of thing. But you knew that if you were going into audition in person, they were going to see you because you're standing in front of them. Right? Like you'll get seen. Even if you're wrong for the part, you might do a great audition and they go, he was wrong, but he was really good. Let's think about him for this other thing. Anyway, nowadays, casting directors go, yeah, just send me in your tape. They may get my wife does some casting. She's got 1,000 tapes.
Oh, wow.
You think she's going to watch every tape?
No, absolutely. Yeah, not.
She's going to watch maybe 50, 60, find 5 or 6 good people, present them to producers. If they go, yeah, we still don't like it, she goes, it's okay, because I have 800 more to look at.
Yeah.
So the problem is now it's like, okay, well, you got to learn your lines. You got to get your acting down. You have to set up your lights and your camera. You have to get a friend to read with you. You're going to spend hours getting it good. You're going to do lots of takes. You're going to edit it. You're going to upload it. And then now what are the chances it's going to get seen? So in one way, it has increased people's ability to submit if they're not immediately in town. But man, I think less people are getting seen than they think they are.
Yeah. I mean, that's just part of the nature of the beast, I guess. And even in theater in New York, I mean, you're going to hear no more than you hear yes. And sometimes you won't even get seen at all. And it's just the way it is. You got to be able to roll with those punches. And another thing that we talk to our listeners about is, don't get discouraged, because you don't know. You could be this close to getting that part or the next part. You just don't know. So if you quit,
you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And then, talking about the game show, Let's Make a Deal, because I used to watch that when I was a kid, and I know you've been talking about this, I'm sure more than you want to, but I guess where did the game show come into play, and how did you get I guess that part of an announcer and being like Wayne's partner in the show, and is this something you enjoy doing? Is it's a little bit of a diversion from the other thing that you do?
I do enjoy it. God, 14 years we've been doing it. So 14 years ago, Wayne was offered to do this game show, and they said, who do you want to be, the old Monty Hall and Jay was the name of the announcer. They were buddies, and they had a relationship on the show. Who do you want to be your sidekick? He was like, Jonathan. So I was like, oh, great.
No hesitation.
I had done zero announcing. I didn't know how to announce anything. So I remember on the first episode, they were like, okay, and announce. And I'm like, so I just did my comedy version of what I thought an announcer would be like. Hey, it's a new car, blah, 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 blah. I did that. And I thought they'd go like, okay, quit messing around and do it right. But nobody said anything.
You love it.
It's like, okay, great. I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But I get to go to work with my best friend every day. We try to make each other laugh. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's like too dirty for daytime that gets cut out. But they told us in the beginning, like, do whatever you want, say whatever you want, have fun with each other. And if it's dirty, we'll just cut it out. You know what I mean? But we don't want you to feel like you're like, it's squeaky clean hour and you can't say anything. No, say it. Drop an F-bomb if you like, and we'll cut it out. And so we do. But yeah, if it was just a game show where I was just like going in and just describing what a Honda Civic is, I would not be happy. But because I get to make up jokes and hang with my pals, it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And on that note, when you're doing like whose line is it, and those types of shows, everybody's a comedian. I always want to ask this question of a comedian, because I always wanted to know what happens off camera, if you guys track each other up off camera, or if it becomes a serious conversation, or what do you guys talk about when the cameras aren't rolling?
I'm trying to think what we talk about. I mean, there's a lot. I think we just still are trying to be funny, still making jokes. A lot of it, sometimes they'll show it on Whose Line, a little bit of us like messing with each other in between. But we're pretty much like that taping day is about a 6 to 7 hour taping.
Wow.
Whose Line.
Yeah.
And they usually end up like, I do, God, anywhere from 3 to 5. They'll make 3 to 5 episodes out of one tape that I'm doing. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
usually only there one day a year. I mean, you start to think, oh yeah, Jonathan, he's doing more. No, I was there for one day.
Wow.
that's
Wow.
that's all chopped up into like a bunch of episodes.
Really? Really? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we show up, we get on stage, and we just start trying to be funny. And then 5 hours later, after the main chunk of the show is done, then we're all exhausted. It's just that's when we
Yeah.
do pickups, which is just Aisha Tyler saying over and over again, our next game is this, our next game is that, our next game, just little safety pickup shots to cover in case they move the order of things around.
Right.
But yeah, that's what we do in between, still trying to be funny.
That's pretty cool. I know you have a couple kids, and I like to ask this question as well. What do your kids think of dad's stardom? I mean, what are they impressed by it?
I
Or
think
what do
so.
they think?
They seem a little bit shocked. We'll be at the dinner table and we'll be having conversations, and sometimes I have boys, so there's lots of fart jokes that will happen and things like that. And so then they'll go eat at their friends' houses, and they'll come home like, yeah, like nobody made a fart joke or a
Like they're
balls joke,
boring.
Dad. Like there's nobody said D's nuts. I don't understand why. Are we not normal?
That's hilarious. So funny.
Yeah.
I guess for our listeners, what kind of advice, what main advice would you have for them just getting started in this business? Because I know, like you said, move to LA, certainly, but the audition process is hard. I mean, it's not an easy business to be in, obviously, but what kind of advice would you have for somebody just getting started to kind of keep them going?
It's just a day at a time kind of thing. It's a slog, and you just have to keep at it. It's like, imagine anyone that has done something that's impressed you. Like, say you go see this piano player, and the piano player is like this brilliant, fingers all over, and it's just like, oh my God, that was amazing. And they would say thank you, but what they wouldn't tell you is, well, I've been doing it every day since I was 8. And if I had reached, say I'm 40 years old, the piano player is 40. If I had reached 40 years old without being great and practicing 8 hours a day, something would be wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with acting and comedy. It's like, oh, thank you. It wasn't born great. I just did it all the time, every day, over and over again, until I became good. And you can do that too, but it's going to take every day, over and over again.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite medium that you do? Because obviously, you've done all kinds of acting and stage work and so forth. But what is your favorite thing? What do you look forward to when
I just love doing live improv on stage.
Yeah.
Just like the perfect because I've been fortunate enough to do improv with Wayne all over the world. We've done, we did Washington State University, 10,000 people one time. We did the Gator Brawl in Florida one time, which was another huge number. And usually it's more like 1,500 to 2,000 seat venues. But there's nothing like the sweet spot is like 150 people in like a small kind of enclosed, low ceiling, kind of in the back downtown somewhere where you're not supposed to go, near a warehouse. And it's like, It has this like secret feeling to it. The shows start a little later at night. Somehow they're always starting at 10 or something like that. Like those kind of shows, live improv, where you feel like you're doing something dirty, something secret that the town doesn't know about. Those are the best. I love live improv with people that I like to work with. Nothing beats it. No movie, no TV gig, nothing.
Yeah. And I guess if there was something you could turn the clock back and change, the way you did something, or change what, in your career, what would that be?
I murdered a traveling door-to-door salesman one time, and they never caught me, but it still bugs me right around this time of year, right around Christmas. I'm like, I feel bad for that murder. I would do anything. I don't think my son just asked me this exact question yesterday on a bike ride, which was like, whoa, it's deep talk time. I don't think there's anything I would have regretted. There's a couple moments where I thought, oh, I can turn this way or that way. And I went one way or the other. An example was there was a couple years there where Wayne booked a residency in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he said, come do the show with me. And it was going to be like, 2 years of living in Vegas. And I was like, I can go this way and not do it and see if because it affected the possibility of getting TV work because I would be in Vegas.
Sure.
So I could stay here in town and try to, keep trying to get a sitcom or keep trying to this, or I could go with Wayne and do that. And I remember that being this is a choice moment,
Right.
but I don't regret it. I mean, it was great. I got to get even better at what I do and work with Wayne, and then it turned into Let's Make a Deal. So I don't regret it, but there are moments like that where I go, oh, this was the crossroads and you went this way. And if I could go back and go the other way, I don't think I would.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And that's something that, I think a lot of people, when they look back on their career, like, I wish I had done this, but you don't know what you don't know. So you can just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of deep, my last question here is, Jonathan, when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave for the people when they hear your name, when they think of your name?
It's good and bad, I think, my answer, because there's really no such thing as a legacy. There's not. If you look at how long humans have been around and how long they'll hopefully keep going, and this little blip we have here, and it's like even the Beatles, the most famous rock band of history, are people gonna have heard of them in 400 years?
Right.
Maybe.
True.
So I don't really, what does legacy mean? Two generations from now?
Sure.
Will my great-great-grandkids go, oh yeah, my great-great-granddad did something on a game?
Yeah, right.
But that also takes the pressure off, I think.
Sure.
Like, because a lot of times, like, I have to leave my mark, and I have to leave, and it's like, no, there's no marks. There's no marks left. If you're carving hieroglyphics into a stone, that might last a couple 3,000 years. It's crazy because I was just thinking the other day about, I was trying to take some photos I have and store them. I was like, what's the best way to store data? Is it hard drive? Well, no, those go bad. CDs, not really. Magnetic tape, that can last a while. And then I was like, well, what is the best storing of data that we have? And it actually is stone tablets. That's the highest technology.
Last longest, yeah.
If you look at longevity, that technology has not been beat. So anyway, I'm digressing here, but yeah, I think that because you don't have to leave a legacy, you don't have to leave some great mark. Just do it, follow your passions and enjoy it, and do it for now. Do it for the now instead of thinking about what you will be.
I think that's a great answer, Jonathan. I get a lot of people kind of overthinking that question sometimes, and you're actually right, because I'll talk about somebody that might be interviewed, like Denise Williams, who I'm a huge fan of. Sure. Growing up, but I talk to people that I work with. They like, who? 4-time Grammy winner. They're like, who? So you're right. It's not even a generation back, and people don't know. So yeah, that's a good answer. It's like one of my better answers I've gotten.
Yes, I win.
Well, Jonathan, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know how busy you are, so just to carve out some time for me, I just really appreciate it. And to our listeners, I know they appreciate it as well. So best of luck for everything you're doing now and in the future. And we're going to keep enjoying watching you. And again, thank you for your time.
Well, Dave, thanks for having me on. And I'm on Twitter @Mangum1, if Twitter still is a thing. Instagram @Jonathan Mangum, and there's probably something on TikTok too. I don't even know, but there you go.
All right. Thank you again, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.